I've learned a lot in the process. I have failed a few times, but I don't see them as losses. I see them as lessons only because I move forward and I make sure what happened before don't happen again.
What's going on, guys? This is Zach Zachary, and you're now tuned in to Not Another Business Podcast. I have my brother here with me, Kensley Beaucéjour, and we're going to talk about what's been going on this year for overall for him and his life, and what we're going to be looking forward to for 2023. We're definitely going to have a lot to talk about, so we'll try to keep this as short as possible. Kensley, what's up, man?
What's up, Carl? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Pretty good.
How's life?
Life could be better, but it's all right.
Yeah, I can't complain.
Not at all. We're still breathing.
Blessed to be here. Blessed to be living.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's get right into it, man. Who's Kensley? Introduce yourself.
I'm Kensley Beaucéjour. I'm 29. I'm a man of many trades. I got a lot going on. I'm doing a lot. But first off, I'm an assistant project manager for a construction company. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of work in Boston, Quincy, Waltham, regarding any offices, robotic warehouse.
There's a bunch of those like big buildings down there in downtown that you and your team have been involved in, right? Your company?
Yes, sir. Yeah. We did a few jobs in the Seaport area. The Seaport is very evolving. We've worked a lot in the downtown area as well.
It's always fascinating to me, and a lot of people who's lived in Mass for a little while knows exactly what I'm talking about with this one here. Isn't it crazy? I call Seaport actually our mini Dubai.
Yep, because it's exactly like what it is. Because just a few years ago, there was nothing there.
Literally warehouses and literally nothing. Yep. I think I would say 10 years ago, if you so much as bought a little plot of land over there, by now you would have been a millionaire.
Yep, definitely.
That's how crazy it's been over there.
Yep, they're renting out of land that they buy in the water. That's the craziest thing ever.
Yeah, man. And then now it's like, it's a Seaport district that we all know it as now. That's where everyone goes, and a lot of celebrities go out there, and it's like a touristic attraction now. Like, this is where people come to hang out. This is where people take their friends when they come visit Mass. Especially like if you're into brunch and stuff like that too. Like, there's a couple of brunch spots out there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
There's a few. There's definitely a few.
Yeah, I feel like back in my old days, I would have been over there a lot more.
Yep.
Nowadays, if somebody doesn't invite me to like a brunch over there, I just pass by, and like I don't stick around.
Yeah, because there's too much going on. There's too many people. Much.
Way too much going on. I'm a man of like calm and peace nowadays. I want to be around all the chaos.
Yep, too much madness.
Yeah, man. Speaking of brunch, you've definitely been involved in a lot of brunches, man. How you feel about brunch, man? What's your take on that? Do you feel like this is an up and coming hustle / business that is like surely untapped, or do you feel like this is just another one of those things that people are gonna get over at some point?
I feel like people are not gonna get over it, just only because I feel like brunch is mostly a better way for people to socialize. And, with us nowadays, especially a lot of us getting old, or we got work early in the morning, we can't really do the night activities like that. Mm-hmm. And even if we do any night activities, we don't interact as much as when we're brunching.
Yeah.
When we're brunching, we get to connect more with people. But let's say we go to dinner or we go to the club, it's usually hard to even have a decent conversation with anybody in the club. And sometimes, over brunch, we talk about everything, anything. We learn a lot. We get to connect with different type of people. We get to make different type of connections. So I don't think brunch is ever going to die out. I feel like it's going to get bigger and bigger because now all over the world, people are doing brunches.
Yeah, it's a common thing now.
And it's always, and even if I got people coming out here in Boston, the first thing they ask me is...
Take them to brunch.
Yeah. Same for like brunch places and stuff, recommendations. So...
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I can see where that's going to become more of a common thing as we grow, because it didn't just come up, right? Brunching did not just become a thing like since we started doing it, so to speak. Like people before us was doing brunch. My only problem with it sometimes, I feel like to your point when you said you can't really interact with the people when you go to dinner and stuff like that. I feel like some brunches be just day parties.
Yeah, there's that too. They straight day parties. I mean, they usually give people a certain time to eat, but especially with people our kind, they don't ever get there too early, so they miss on the opportunity to eat something.
Right. Definitely. I hope to talk, to get some time to talk to Juice Money one of these days. And I seen recently, you guys, he shouted you out to, as one of the people that helped making the last compa brunch on Dimanche happen. So what was that like? Like I definitely seen, that all of that kind of how it's turning out and how it's looking out there and the amount of people that's showing up to represent not only the culture but just for the vibe
it's
and stuff like that.
Mostly to the area. We the only Haitian group. I'll say Jish Money and these people are literally the only Haitian group that's doing something for Haitians with Haitians in the Seaport area.
Yeah.
So that's big because a lot of people are going to mostly come because they know, first of all, they're going to be safe. Second of all, after the brunch, they have so many choices of other things if they want to do.
Right, including go back home and be in bed by 9.
Exactly. So, there's a lot that goes into it. Good planning. Every brunch that you're going to expect something different. People get to connect. You see a lot of young people that are really into compa because I know there's a lot of friends of mine that's always asking, compa this, there's no compa that. There's nothing compa going on. They want something where they could enjoy their own music. Because if you go to most of the day parties in Boston, they probably will play like, couple Haitian songs or sometimes they play Zouk like, which is not in shouting out Haitians.
Yeah.
But having something for just us, by us, and with us, it's different, and and people enjoy it. Yeah. They already waiting for the next one, so that's a good thing.
That's
really
good.
That's when people are having fun.
I might have to come through for that next one.
Next one, you definitely got to come. It's about to be a movie again.
For sure. So I know, like you said, you have a lot of things going on, and it's always like even an inspiration for me. And I'm sure you have a lot of people that feel the same way, and they look at you as an inspiration because you're tapped in, you're doing many things, and you're Haitian. You've only been here for how long now? About 13 years, because we came here the same year.
Yeah, we came here 2010.
Yeah, so after the earthquake.
For 12 years, a couple months. Well, a couple months gonna be 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about that process, because I have that transition actually. I have some thoughts of my own, and I've gone to therapy and we discussed some of this stuff, and I've been able to realize some of these things, right? When, like, for example, when you come here at a younger age, there's so much pressure to do things.
Yep.
Sometimes it's not only just to do things, but it's so much pressure to be successful and not be a failure.
Yep.
And you've managed to do the right one, right? You've managed to achieve success. So talk about that transition, what it was like coming here, as a young Haitian straight out of Haiti, and, no English or little to no English. Talk about that transition, how it was for you growing up in the U.S. Or in Massachusetts, with, even going to college and everything. So talk about that process.
The transition was, I would say it was a weird one, only because, your own family is putting limitation on you, only because my parents, they didn't want to come out here. They just sent us. So for them, they like the fact that my parents are not going to be here.
By us, you and your brother, right?
Yeah, me and my brother, we're probably going to fail. And I had that, because I came here at 16. So, I know everything that was going on. I've seen my mom down when, her own sisters telling her that, if she doesn't come with us, we're not going to be nothing. And I'm like, they don't know me because that's not how I was raised.
Right.
the way my mom raised us is, we all together, but we have to be by ourselves too. Like we don't have to depend on them for us to be successful, do whatever we set our mind into. And I just had to process everything. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here for a reason, and I'm going to achieve everything that I came here for. And that's exactly what I did. Came here, went to school, I went to school and did something that I like, which is construction management. The one thing I like about my parents is they don't force me to do anything. They always tell me, you're your own person. You choose whatever you think your future is going to appreciate. And, I decided to go to the path of construction because I grew up in a construction family, been waking up, seeing my dad doing, houses, roads, all type of stuff in Haiti. It was a great inspiration for me. So I wanted to go through that path, and I did. Went to Wentworth, which was very hard, and because I had little to no English. And the funny way is, me learning English was it was a funny way, because I used to listen to country music because I felt like it was the only type of music where they articulate the words and for me to kind of understand people. And then
it's amazing how a lot of us learn English when it comes. My thing with English used to be Disney Channel.
Oh, yep.
That was my whole thing. Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, whatever. Mostly Disney Channel. It was real people. I could see them, and it was almost like as if I was trying to mirror them half of the time. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to speak the same way this guy is speaking, and there's a lot of us that use different avenues that approach English differently. But that was my approach to that.
Yep.
And what was it like, going to college and learning, again, in a completely different language, and, doing, because the workload is much different.
Yep.
The school system is much different than it is in Haiti.
Definitely.
So what was that like?
In my opinion, I feel like college is easy because, back home in Haiti, we used to just study books.
Yeah.
And then over here in college is mostly common sense. If you pay attention, if you know what you're doing, if you really pay attention to the professor, whatever, you're gonna make it. You're gonna get there. You just you pay attention, you make sure you read the material, and then you apply it.
Yeah.
And as long as you know what you're doing, you're gonna get there. There's nothing in life that's easy, and there's nothing in life too that's too hard if you set your mind into it. And that's exactly what I did. I had a lot of stumbles and stuff, but
of course,
being here, I went to a school where I barely find anybody that I could relate to, because obviously Wentworth is 3 or 4% black people, so we used to all be together. And then finding a few Haitians that I could relate to, and it was kind of good. And I was still in the process of learning English,
right?
Because I only did a year and a half in high school, and it was always kind of hard for me to understand when we go to a school where there have people with different backgrounds and different way of talking, different accent. So it was a whole process for me, especially when it comes to the professors. Some that talk fast, some that talk slow. And I didn't want to be in any way to tell someone to kind of slow down, even if I know I could. But I just didn't want to be the only person to do so. So I had to adapt.
Yeah.
Made it happen. 4 years. And I could say it was a great experience. And I've been doing construction in Boston for 8 years. So I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot.
So I definitely consider you as a staple in the community when it comes to, if you want it, you can get it. And no matter what, just focus on your goal and you can achieve it, because you're one of the few people that I know around my age group, or even around in a group of people that I know, just like me in 2010, came to the U.S., with nothing, with language difference, all that kind of stuff. And you achieve that higher level of education. You got yourself a bachelor degree in construction management, and you work in your field now. And I know it's definitely not easy, because that's why a lot of us don't do it, because when we come, most of us barely make it through high school.
Yep.
Right. And that's 1 year and a half. Right? Like if you came here in 2010, like, and you're around the same age as us, like you would most likely be in high school for 1 year and a half. I know sometimes some kids get, pushed back a little bit due to, again, language barriers, but you're probably not doing no more than 2 years in high school.
Yep.
So imagine coming here after spending your whole life in Haiti, going to school every day, and the school system is much more rigid. And then you come here and you can't survive 2 years off of it. Not because the school is hard, right? Because we all know the school system, like the homework and everything, is much easier.
Yep,
right? Definitely. Compared to the standard of like, in Haiti.
In Haiti, yep.
And you did that. Like you went through and you did that, and you achieved your highest level of education, and now you've been working in your field for 8 years. What are some of the major wins in your field and some of the major losses? Because in this platform, I like to really be open about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I feel like there's too many people out there trying to paint a perfect picture.
Yep.
And it's starting to get boring.
Definitely.
Right. And it's a bit redundant, right? Because everybody want to tell you, go to college, get a degree, and then go work in this, that, and third, and make, $500,000 a year. Nobody tells you about the bad or the lack of motivations that you come across during that process. So let's talk about some of the major wins and some of the major losses in your field.
Every project that get to be completed, it's considered a win, because you deal with a lot of trauma. Because most of the time when I'm talking to anyone and I tell them, oh, this is what I do, I work in construction, the first thing that came in mind is, oh, you're making money. And I'm like, yes, it could be better. But at the same time, I deal with a lot of trauma, because you're dealing with people money. You got to deliver. You got to do exactly what they want. You're dealing with different background of people. You're dealing with, the design team. You're dealing with different trades. You got to make sure everybody do everything according to the design. You got to make sure that no one gets in the way, because you gotta go through a lot of unforeseen conditions when it comes to construction, for example. And I wouldn't say I have any losses, because I would most likely say lessons. Mm-hmm. I've learned a lot in the process. I have failed a few times, but I don't see them as losses. I see them as lessons, only because I move forward and I make sure what happened before don't happen again. Mm-hmm. So anything that happened, it's only for the better. And me as a person, is the way I move is I don't focus on negativity. It's always positivity. It's always moving forward. Everything happens for a reason. If it happens, it's for my own good, or it's for me to learn a lesson, or if it's because it was meant to happen. So I just move forward, and I don't look past anything bad. I just probably go back to learn from it and not do it again.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I think that's definitely the right way of looking at things, and this is what this podcast is all about. It's about realizing, it's about us helping each other realize that whatever it is that you got going on, you're like, it's not just designed for you. Like we've all go through the same thing, if not something a little bit worse than that. We've all had to struggle and like really get it out the mud, like as they say. And it's almost to say like you're not special if you're going through hardship. Like you're not special. Trust and believe you're not special. I've gone through it. You've gone through it. A lot of us, and we just explained too, like as a Haitian coming into the country, a lot of the biggest problems sometimes for us is relatability. Like we can't find anyone to relate with, because even if we can identify with like other Black folks, Americans, which by the way, a lot of them, they're the ones that put you through the worst trauma, because that's how they let off their anger from their suppressors, because we get bullied from Black folks a lot more than white folks when we come here as Haitian. But that's a conversation for another day. So when you sit in a classroom, in a cafeteria, in an environment, and you end up having to listen a lot more than speaking, it's almost like it's traumatizing.
Definitely.
Because you walk around and you feel like, I definitely should have said this about that situation. Now this person thinks that he can or she can say whatever he wants, or you feel like I should have been more outspoken and speak my truth and really explain myself. And you start to run to all these problems, all these like shoulda, coulda, woulda. So you run into these issues, and then now you bottling, and of course the pressure of you need to be successful or you're gonna be a failure, and you're carrying all that around. It's like the toughest you could really have it. Like if you come from a different country and you come here, it's like this is the worst it's gonna get, and you've managed to get through that, and that's like I applaud you for that. 100%. I really appreciate what you've been doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Especially looking at this year too, like, and then these last couple of years, you've been doing a lot of traveling.
Yep. Trying to see more of the world, getting inspiration from different cultures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So.
How was your 2022? How many, let's do how many, do you keep track of how many times you travel?
Yeah, yep. I'd say 2022 was pretty good. I did 14 trips.
Damn.
Yeah, 14 trips.
That's almost one like average one and some change
a year, a month. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's dope.
It was pretty good. I get to celebrate friends. I get to celebrate my friends' wings, their birthdays, weddings. I get to see new part of the world. I get to enjoy a lot, such as concerts and whatnot with friends and family. Because as for me, is I always try to, even if I'm always on the move, I'm always doing something. Mm-hmm. I'm never too busy for anyone, and anybody that's close to me, they know that.
Yeah.
I barely make excuses. I always find a way. Mm-hmm. Instead of making excuses, I'll find a way.
And to that point, where do you think that came from? Because, I've seen how hard you go for your friends and, to support them. I have an episode that, titled Support Your Friends. And I definitely had you in mind for that episode. And we might actually have to do a part 2 of that.
So,
because the way you've managed to support your friends and their, even right now, like, coming through and sitting down and like doing this podcast, like this is a show of how much you support your friends when they're doing this stuff. Where do you think that came from?
I feel like that came from,
or is that something you've acquired over the years?
So I'd say I've seen how everybody moves in most of for most part, and for me it was like it always make me feel better when I know I could be there for somebody and make whatever they're doing get to a certain level. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if, especially for Haitians, if we all support each other and we go hard for each other, I can bet you we definitely would be in a better place than we are now. And I've seen the selfish ways when it comes to like Haitians, and I didn't want to be classified under the same when. So anybody that got anything going on, they know they got my support regardless. And it always make me happy that, I'm seeing my friends, win.
Yeah.
Because I know like, there's plenty and there's enough for everybody. Mm-hmm. There shouldn't be any hate or any jealousy about anything. If you got the time to be there for your people, you just be there, because again, everybody's fighting their own battles. Everybody going through a lot of stuff. And you being there for them, it's going to mean a lot, even if it's just, checkup, or
right.
Even if it's just like, how's business? How's this going? How can I help? How can I assist?
Yeah.
It doesn't take much from you. And by doing this also, you get more blessings, because you're doing good and you're doing it genuinely. and it's only gonna get better for you because at the end of the day, and you gotta make sure you do something out of your heart. You don't do something just to expect anything in return. Is you just do it to do it just because that's the way you are. That's mostly like the way I see it because that's just the way I am.
Yeah.
If anybody come with an idea or they come something, if I see that I could put my 2 cents, I'm gonna tell you. And if I got any connections that could help you move to the next, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Only because that I know it can be hard for anybody that's starting anything or that's doing anything.
Yeah, and you know, as they say, this is no cap because I've seen you actually do this in real time. Like, you know, you keep it real with everyone, and I know how easy it is for people to, you know, shut their eyes to when it comes to supporting people. Like, and then in that previous episode, I talked about supporting your friends in their endeavors doesn't always mean that you got to go break the bank and buy the whole stock.
No,
like
exactly.
people think that support your friends mean, oh, I have to sit there and spend my rent money, or I have to literally rename my social media pages and name it my friend's business to show support. No, you don't have to do any of that.
No.
You could literally go in one morning and bring your friend a cup of coffee,
Yep.
and then that's support.
Yep.
You could simply send a message in the morning, like, and that's support.
Yep.
Like, that will go a long way, you know. And like I said, you've definitely done that, and I, you know, continue to do that, you know, because that like you said, you're not doing it for anything in return.
Yep.
And you'll continue to be blessed.
Yep.
You know,
Definitely.
So let's do a quick recap for 2022. What was your proudest accomplishments?
I'd say I've had 3 people asking me to mentor them, and I had to learn because I've never done that before. I've never had anybody ask me to mentor.
Have you had a mentor in the past?
Yes, I did. I still do. I got 2 mentors, and I basically learned from the way they react with me, and I apply whatever I learned from them, and with whatever I know I can do for the people that reach out to me, because it was out of nowhere. I was like, I won't say no to that opportunity only because they probably see something in me that I didn't see in myself.
Yeah.
Because I've been people reaching out, like, for example, when I started managing the girls that I do, is I was just giving advices. And then by just giving advices, they're like, oh, why don't you just manage me? I was like, sure.
You want to elaborate on that too? You know, kind of talk about that.
Yeah. So, you know, it was, for example, like one of them, I've seen how they react online, the stuff that they do. So I just reach out as a friend, and I'm like, oh, you'll be better if you do this way, or you'll be better if you do that way. And she actually listened, and by listening to what the direction that I gave her, she became more people starting to see and the best in her, and started reaching out. You know, she get more views, she get, you know, a lot of followers. So it's having all this attention, and at some point it was getting too much for her. And she reached out to me. She's like, oh, you've been giving me a lot of advices. You've been telling me, you've been giving me a lot of direction.
And they work.
And they work. Do you mind being my manager? I was like, oh, yeah, sure. Why not? Where do we start? And since then we've been going, and then I've had other people refer me as someone that that could be a good assets to their team, and I've been doing just that. We became close friends. Whatever they get going on, I'm always the first person that, you know, stuff go through, which I appreciate, because, you know, most times people, they don't really like to tell other people their plans, and which I know that could be a good and bad thing. Good thing, it all depends on the person. Some people, you might tell them their plans, you know, they steal your ideas, or they just talk down. But it's all about positivity. It's your idea. I'm gonna make sure it goes through. I'm gonna make sure it works, and I'll do my best to show support any way I can. And
it's a fear that a lot of us have when it comes to sharing.
Yeah.
And then that's because, as you mentioned earlier, some people feel like, they view you as a competition.
Yep. Definitely.
Some people have a different understanding when it comes to supporting one another.
Yep.
And because of the horror stories that we've heard, right, we start to draw our own conclusion.
Definitely.
If it's, and I've gone through that. I constantly go through that. A lot of times I have to talk myself out of it and be more open to sharing my ideas and, some of the things that I'm thinking about doing. Not, and at times I literally tell myself, I'm like, if this person still this idea and it becomes successful, I don't even care if I get the credit, but just being able to watch it, just being able to see that, I'll be happy because, hey, at least I feel like you're doing something better now. Like, and I don't care about that, So that's a fear that we all have to learn how to pick it up when it's happening and manage it as we go, because it's not going to go away, obviously.
Oh, definitely not.
So yeah, and I think it's genuine, man. I think that's what attracted those people to you, because definitely. When they get those suggestions and directions, ideas, and everything, it came from a genuine place.
Yep.
So, and people can see that.
Oh yeah,
you can feel that.
Yep, definitely.
So that's good. I'm glad that happened for you.
And talking about that too, there's one thing, that I kind of learned this year, in a way, as if there's a lot of people that's scared of being used. For me, I don't think, I'm like, if you can't be used, then you're useless. So people gotta be able. So the thing is, when you know someone and you get close to somebody, you gotta make sure you with someone that each other can help away.
Yeah.
And I say that to say this: I don't mind if anybody use me, just don't abuse me. That's the difference that people fail to make. Anybody can use you, because if they can't use you for anything, not even for inspiration, or if they need a question regarding something.
I mean, the country's already using you.
Exactly. So if they can't use you, then you're useless.
Yeah, you're being used already.
Exactly. So the way you got to see it is, don't be mad, or don't feel like everybody's just trying to use you, then you're gonna get away from people. As soon as you feel abused, that's when you move away. But being used shouldn't be a fear for many people.
Yeah,
a lot of people fear of being used. You can't be fear of being used. You got to be there for each other. That's the reason why I say being there for each other is each other. You guys are using each other.
Right.
It's literally what it is.
Don't be so focused on making sure you're not being used that you become useless.
Exactly.
Because we all have our own goals and minds and achievements that we want to reach.
Yep. Definitely.
And if we're not using each other, right? Like right now, I could say you could easily say, "Oh, this dude is using me for his podcast." It's like, if we're not using each other, like, we're never gonna succeed and advance anywhere else.
Exactly.
Right? And it's our mentality.
Yep.
And once again, this is what this podcast is about. It's about like really kind of diving into the behind the scenes, like the mentality. Because to me, it feels more like me and you can have a conversation that comes from a genuine place. Two people who share, who can relate in a lot of things. And it would make for an easier and more comfortable conversation, rather than I've never met this person and I want to use this person, quote unquote, use this person for their, for whatever they have, just because, I want to get better than them. Like, no, it's not. It's, it has nothing to do with that. This is more of a, like, I like genuine people. And I think that's another thing that we're lacking in the community too. Like, we don't have enough genuine people out there that's like looking out for us. So it's not me using Kensley. It's me, embracing Kensley and what he has going on, and he's doing the same thing for me.
Yep.
So we come to these, we come to these avenues sometimes, and we don't realize that we have to change our mentality. So what are some things? Do you have any regrets, or do you have any things in 2023 that in 2022 that you wish could have gone better? Do you feel like there's anything you could have, achieved, or something that you wanted but you didn't get, or something that you wanted to, work on but you never got a chance to start it? Anything in that sort?
I don't think I have anything really. I feel like every start of the year, I create a plan on things I want to work on, and to be honest, I check everything off my list. So I could say that 2022 is a great year so far.
That's good to hear, man. That's good to hear. Yeah, because I was just thinking that yesterday, actually. It's a common theme now for people to almost like make other people feel bad for trying to do new things and more and better things in the new year. We often recognize that as the new year, new me term.
Yep.
And it sucks that people really bully each other like that with that.
Yep. I mean, well, the way I usually see it is, you don't need a new year to start a new journey.
Definitely, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, right, we have to start somewhere.
Exactly, yeah.
And what better way to reset or restart something, or even start something, than a new year? Because it's like nature telling you, all that 2022 stuff is gone, or all that 2021 stuff is gone. This is something new.
Yep.
It's like, I'm not saying, I think, it gets misconstrued, of course, because people feel like, oh, you're still this, you're still that. Like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about changing your mindset, changing your vision, changing your goals, changing your plans.
Yep. You're gonna become a better version of yourself. Basically.
Exactly. Because if we're not all trying to improve, like, what is this all for?
Exactly. Yep.
Like, a lot of us, unfortunately, we're living this life in the sunken place. Like, we're living this life in the box, and all we can't think we can't think past tomorrow. And that's why we're sitting there, and then we're like literally forcing miserable. Is that a word? Miserability? I don't know if that's a word. We're forcing people to become like us, when it's like, nah, you stay over there in your dark place by yourself.
Yep.
I'm going to go in 2023, and there's going to be a new Carl.
Definitely.
I might change my name if I feel like it. There's going to be a new Carl. Like, all that Carl in 2022 is going to get left in 2022.
Definitely, yeah.
The struggle, the hardship is being left in 2022. Like, that's how I see it, because 2023, literally, the whole year changed.
Yep.
It didn't turn 2022B or whatever. The whole year changed. I hate that people really use this thing against people, and put them there, cyberbullying people into, like, so if somebody say, yo, I'm going to start the gym in 2023. Why is that a problem?
Yeah, that's not a problem. They just start. I mean, you just gotta make sure
it's about starting.
Yep.
Like, how many, like myself, right? In 2018, when I started going to the gym, I made that a goal in 2018, and I started going in February, and been going 80% consistently since then.
Yep.
So it's like, it works for a lot of us.
Yep, definitely, yep.
You know what I mean? It works for a lot of us. So there's no need for people to create this sort of like, oh, like I seen a post the other day that said, that podcast you want to launch in 2023, don't. I was like, okay. This is why I stay off social media.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to read this.
Yeah, and people usually put their limitation onto
other people. Yep.
Or they see anything that's going on. Just because somebody is probably doing some BS with their podcast doesn't mean that the person that want to start the podcast is going to do the same thing.
Right.
You should be able to give everybody a chance to be themselves and to do whatever they set their mind into. If they want to start the podcast, start the podcast.
Right. Like, if you want to start a business in 2023, start it.
Yeah.
You know how many people get stuck and like want to start?
Yep. And usually, too, people are afraid of doing the same thing as somebody else. And when you look over the world, there's plenty for everybody. You could start something that's the same thing as that person, but you get more recognition just because of the type of person that you are. Doesn't mean
Right.
that you copying the person. That's your idea. You want to put in, but you just do it.
There's a reason why, you have a Disney Plus now.
Yep.
You have HBO Max.
Yep.
Who do you think these people are copying? Netflix.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't
it.
say copy. They just start their own thing because it works.
Right. Because
works.
Netflix came up with the blueprint. Netflix made it a thing, right? And just like everyone else, they started something.
Yep.
Right. They said, who the CEO, he had a vision. Shoot, he probably said, next year I'm going to start this thing.
Yep.
I'm going to start Netflix.
Yep.
I'm going to start this company next year. And he started it. Of course, they weren't successful because I think Netflix been around since the 90s, late 90s. And they developed over time. They built a business over time. And then it became Netflix as we know it now. They're producing, making their own things. And now everyone look at it and say, oh, he's being, they're succeeding with our stuff that we've sold them the licenses for.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we can do this for ourselves.
For ourselves too. Yeah.
Right. And once one said they're gonna do it, everyone else start coming out the woodwork and doing. There's a Paramount Plus now. There's a bunch of different options that you can do for streaming, and all of it is because they're licensing their own things, they're producing their own things, and they're the major companies behind a lot of these big movies, cartoons, all of that. And they say, sure, let's put that into our own platforms. Create our own platform.
The only way I see it too, it's not just Netflix, it's the cable company.
Exactly.
Because all the cable companies, they have all type of channels, all different channels, and all these channels, they just become independent, basically.
Or another one, actually, my most recent example would be, I'm sure Amazon realized how many superheroes there is out there, movies and TV shows and all that stuff. What did they do? They're like, all right, well, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get in on that.
Yep.
They went in. They came up with their own little stuff, like they producing their own movies and all that kind of stuff too. Like all their TV shows.
Yep.
They're handing out bags to people.
Exactly.
Like that's how Coming to America 2 ended up happening.
Yep.
They're like, okay, well, we already have the streaming platform.
Yep.
And everybody else is doing the movies, and they're backing up. They got the money.
Yep.
They're like, sure, let's throw some money on that. It's that mentality for us thinking like too many people is doing now already. It's overpopulated, all that kind of stuff. Like it's your own limitation. It's only in your head.
Yep.
Because there is enough out there for all of us to win.
Exactly.
And the same exact thing.
Yep.
And that's why we don't support each other too, because we're thinking, well, I barely get any support in this. So if I support Kensley and his podcast, he's going to, be more famous, or his podcast is going to be more successful than mine.
Yeah.
Horrible mentality, man.
Definitely.
Let's talk about 2023. You mentioned in 2022 you had a plan. You came up with a plan, and we're approaching, or let's say by the time this episode we're approaching 2023. Let's talk about that. What are you looking forward to doing in 2023? What are did you do your plan already?
Yeah, I started working on some stuff, mostly trying to invest more in properties overseas. I've been seeing the market and see...
Where are you looking to start first?
To start, I would say there's a couple places that I have in mind, such as, Punta Cana in Dominican Republic. Mm-hmm. And also I'm looking into Colombia.
Okay.
And because as everybody is seeing right now, those are very too hot. Well, Colombia has been a hot spot, but Punta Cana is very evolving. There's a lot of people going there. I'd say they're the kind of state in DR that get the most visitors this year.
You might get a lot of backlash for Punta Cana, man, because as a Haitian,
I know, but I mean, I just left there a couple weeks ago, and I can say that there's a lot of Haitians working there. I've visited a few sites where they're doing construction, and I could tell you every single person working construction in Punta Cana are Haitians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and one thing that I kind of get from a friend of mine that lives in DR is mostly they just using the Haitians. Once they don't need them anymore, they get sent back. And in my head, the one thing I said is they're being used because they're good. And I'm pretty sure they're not just working to work. They're making money. They probably sending money back home to families and stuff. So at the end of the day, you got to see the bright side of it all. And the way I'm seeing, and by talking to like different developers out there, they have a Dubai plan going on. Basically, they have a plan for the next 15 years. So just know that as long as the Haitians can work and do what they're supposed to do, they're gonna be working for 15 years, and it's only gonna get they're only gonna get more and more. That 15 years can turn into 20.
Yeah,
or probably 25.
Yeah, because a lot of times when you build stuff, you end up having to, maintain all that stuff too, which means you might need to keep the same team around to keep everything
definitely
flowing properly.
And again, with construction or with buildings or with anything, there could be any casualty. Once that, let's say, get destroyed, they're gonna need to replace it by something else.
Yeah, because you got hurricanes, you got earthquakes, and all that kind of stuff, natural disasters that can happen.
Not even that, there could be a fire in the building and need repairs or need to be rebuilt, and they're still gonna need. That's why that's mostly one of the reasons why I kind of choose the construction path, because there's always new ideas. There's always, because I learn a lot. I work in I've never worked in labs in my life, and I could say 2020, after the whole pandemic, I've been working in a lot of labs. So I've seen a lot of different labs, and I've learned a lot as well. And I've done 4 warehouse for robotics, and I get to see what the robots do, and I'm like, oh, this world's gonna be very advanced and dangerous at the same time, because those robots gonna take actual human beings' jobs.
Yeah.
And again, is when the pandemic happened, before the pandemic, we built those offices. When the pandemic happened, they basically kind of trying to do something else, like transform a lot of offices into labs, and we'll get to do it still us. So I'm like, I can never run out of job, because there's a lot for me to do.
Oh yeah, there's especially in mass.
There's always
something is always being built in mass.
Yeah, something is always being built, and we got a lot of whole office buildings that are gonna need to be refurbished. So who they're gonna call to do that is still construction. And as anybody could say too, there's a lot of construction companies in Boston, and I can guarantee that everybody's eating.
How do you manage your time and mentally, and how do you take care of yourself? Because you've talked about a few different things that require not only your time in the moment, but as well as it takes a lot of patience and mental strength to deal with people and to deal with certain things to manage a project. What's your process?
So I'd say it all comes down to scheduling. For example, everything that I'm doing in my field of work is a schedule. So I apply the same methods in my professional life, I apply it to my personal life. And that's the reason why smart. Most of the time I tell people, oh yeah, if you're going to invite me something or invite me somewhere, please give me a few days ahead just so I could prepare and put it on my schedule.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you tell me, I put it on my schedule. And it comes down to sometimes there are conflicts. For example, I got invited, and I always trying to stay a man of my word when I say, I'm going somewhere or I'm doing something. For example, I got a good friend of mine getting married next July, 2023. And 2 weeks later, my cousin invited me to his wedding, which is the same day. So what I did is, there's always a way. I talked to my brother. I'm like, yo, you're going to go to my cousin's wedding and I'm going to go to my friend's wedding, because I already told him I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
So I called my cousin. I'm like, I appreciate the invite. I would love to be there on your special day, but I won't be able to, only because that I already have this invitation. I already told him I was coming, but Bradley's gonna be there. So there's always a way. Sometimes people are gonna be like, oh, East family, you gotta choose. But at the end of the day, if you can keep your word, then you won't be able to be trusted. People won't be able to trust you.
Yeah, you'll be useless.
Exactly, you'll be useless. So I already told him, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna come. The only reason that could probably make not come, it's if it doesn't happen. But if
Right.
it's happening, I already put it in my calendar. I'm already planning for it, even if it's already in July, because I don't like being last minute when I'm doing stuff. I always want to have a plan. So I tend to plan stuff ahead.
Yeah. Do you schedule time for yourself, like self-care, or
Yep.
even have moments where, you know, in the professional world, there are people that, you know, do these like scheduled do nothing days. Do you have those days?
I wouldn't say do nothing days, because me, if I'm not doing anything, then yeah, I'm gonna go crazy. I have to be doing something. Even though, like, you know, you've traveled with me before. As we're traveling, I got a schedule.
Yeah.
Even if I'm traveling, I mean, anybody that's traveled with me, they know a schedule is coming. Only because I don't want to go anywhere and go with the flow.
Right.
Because especially when you travel with groups, you could say that, oh, we're traveling, because I've learned my lessons one time. We're traveling in groups. When we get there, we find stuff to do. And when we get to like a certain restaurant, party's too big, they can't sit us. So now it's just like, you got to find something else last minute.
Yeah.
Usually finding last minute things, it's not going to be a great experience, because you're just going to get whatever it's available. And
it's more frustrating than anything else.
It's more frustrating because now everybody's hungry. We now looking for somewhere to eat, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah.
And usually, you know, moods get mixed up because they're like, you know, there's arguments back and forth and stuff. So I try to always have a plan in whatever I'm doing in life. It could be just a trip, or it could be even if I have stuff scheduled for my own self-care stuff, it has to be on a schedule.
Yeah, that's good. Anything else that you're looking forward to doing in 2023 that you want to share? I should say, over the years, have you been the type of person to actually plan, because you're a planner, plan your year from start to finish, or do you just have certain things like, you know, a bullet point, like a top 5, top 10 list of things that you want to have happen? And
I usually I have kind of like 4 different plans. 3, 6, 9, 12 months.
Okay.
And then usually there'll be some gray areas in certain months, or if I'm already knowing that, I want to go to that trip or that country, block off the days, or, but at the end of the day too, anything can happen at any time. We can't really predict anything. We can make a plan and it doesn't go accordingly. And I don't usually see it as a failure. I just see that, if it doesn't happen for a reason. I'll probably try next year.
Yeah.
And by planning, it gives me the ability to be more consistent with my life, because I know I have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I have, for example, my mom is turning 60 in 2023.
Shout out to your mom, by the way.
Yeah. That lady she's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah, her birthday's in April, and her birthday's been planned since July. And it's only because, you know, she kind of brought up the idea, like, I don't know which one of her friends told her about Dubai, and she always wanted to go to Dubai. She always mentioned it. So I'm like, all right, you're turning 60. I want you to have your best time of your life, because I know you made sure we had the best life. So the way I see it is, I'm returning the favor. You make sure we were good, always good till this day, still making sure that we're good. You did everything for us. You know, my mom's the type to walk in any big stores, get us anything. But for her, she'll be in the clearance section at Target. And it's just like, you see that going up, and it's just like, yeah, I understand, but now it's my turn to just like go all out for you.
Yeah.
Just because you deserve it. So,
and to piggyback off of that, I like that you doing this now and not doing like all these, I don't want to use the term, but all these idiots out there who talk about, I can't wait to be a millionaire so I can take care of my mom. No,
there's no such thing. It's a process.
Don't even get me started. I'm not even going to get started on that, because anyways, like we said earlier, like with supporting your friends, like supporting people does not have to equate to money.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't always equate to money.
Yeah.
you don't. Anyways, let me not get started on that.
Because the way you got to see it is, you know, some of the time, if they're waiting for them to be, I'm pretty sure their parents will probably like millionaires. I don't think their parents they're going to wait till they're millionaire to take care of them.
Exactly.
Make sure they got a good life.
Exactly. And some of these people are people living with their parents. And it's like,
exactly.
How about you do groceries one weekend?
Yeah.
Or how about you just take care of groceries moving forward?
Yeah.
Or how about you just bring her, like, you know, a nice plate of food, or take her out?
Yeah. Take her out. I tell all my people all the time.
Shoot, buy her a car, or pay her car note.
Yeah, pay her car note. That's the easiest thing to do.
This is like there's a list of stuff that you can start doing that does not include you being a millionaire to start taking care of your parent.
And I promise you, especially with Haitian parents, one thing I can say is I've been for the last 4 years. I bring my mom somewhere new every year. And all I can say is it makes me happy when she's talking to her friends on the phone and she's like, oh, my son brought me to this. My son makes sure I was good. I was like, it feels good because they're going to praise you.
Right.
They're going to make sure that everybody knows what you're doing for them.
And, you know, this is the thing is, like, people that knows you and have been around you, like, you brought your mom to brunches and parties and like literally just brought your mom every single place I could imagine.
Yeah, because my mom, I that's why when people are talking about Haitian parents, I'm like, I can't relate because both my mom and my dad, they're really cool people. Yeah, I tell people like my first strip club experience, my dad brought me. Mm-hmm. And it's just like they get surprised all the time because their parents would do stuff like that, but not with them.
Right.
And my mom is very comfortable with us. She's, she kind of like, she tell us everything. If we got anything going on, we talk to her. We can't talk to her. She's not going to judge. She's of course going to put a 2 cents, but doesn't mean that she's judging. She's just seeing things differently because obviously she's going to break up her time, which is different from our time. And she goes everywhere. She goes to the club with us. She goes and have brunch. She loves brunch. Mm-hmm. I know she loves traveling.
New restaurants and all of that.
Trying new restaurants and stuff. And she enjoys it.
Yeah. I think down the line I might want to do like an episode kind of talking about Haitian parents.
Yeah. That's gonna be a long topic. There's a lot that comes with
that might have
Haitian
to be a full panel. Like you have different people of like different backgrounds.
Because Haitian parents can put you in a lot of trauma, especially when it comes to putting limitations in you or wanting you to go to college when that's not your calling. Not everybody will want to go to college. I went to college and I did my thing because that's what I chose to do.
And, props to them because, we're now realizing how much effort and sacrifices was put in raising us, right, as kids. And, even some of our parents came here with us. Some of our parents took the chance of letting us come live in a different country, different territory, without them around us. And some of us, that made us stronger. And some of us didn't even make it, right, due to that fact because we suffered a lot at families' houses and all that kind of stuff. So that's all things that's actually happening in the community for a lot of us in the Haitian community. So props to them for all their sacrifices, but there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things that we need to talk about. And I would hope that if this episode do happen, that we might even hopefully I can even get some Haitian parents too. Like, to be there and actually, give their side of things, as a Haitian parent and everything. So planning 2023, I guess. Yeah. So anything else you want to add or kind of talk about and, highlight, something you want to, something you're thankful of, something you looking forward to, anything else that you want to share?
One thing I'm going to say is, we're going to enter 2023 and make sure it's going to be a year of more wins, more blessings, more more traveling, of course. Gotta get to see the world. And one thing I gotta say is I appreciate the invite. It's a beautiful podcast. I'm always listening to all the episodes and stuff. You know, I get to learn a lot because, you know, you get to learn something new every day. You can never know too much. There's no such thing as knowing too much or knowing a lot.
Yeah.
Or knowing everything, because nobody knows everything. If everybody knew everything, they'd be speaking every single language in the world. That's one thing.
That's a good way to put it.
Oh, yeah, because that's the biggest barrier of all time.
Yeah.
Language.
Yeah.
Language.
If you can't speak every language in the world, you don't know everything. That should be your...
Yeah, that's the only way. If you cannot speak, if you cannot have different dialects, because culture is different than languages.
Yeah.
You don't know anything. You just know a lot. Doesn't mean now you know everything. You can never know everything.
Yeah. I can get behind that.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's, you know, with being raised in Haiti and, you know, being trilingual and all that kind of stuff, is like, you look at some people that are, you know, that are full of themselves and all they know or ever know is the English language. And and all I could do is just look at them like, you really feel like you know it all.
Yep, that's how they always feel. Like, you know, it always come down with basically superiority, just because they think they come from a certain background, or they from a certain family. They could be better than anybody. You can never see yourself as better than anyone, because you only gotta see yourself better than yourself, because you gotta make progress. But if you see yourself better than anyone, then it's not working.
Right. Yeah, man. Definitely thank you for coming through. And this was the first vibe. This was the first official in-person episode. You know, the one I did one with Ted, and you know, this one was a flashback one. This was from last year, actually. Was that 2020 even? This one was an old one. And officially, we're not another business podcast. I haven't done anything in person, so I really appreciate you coming through and
problem at all
making this happen. I'm very proud of the conversation we had. There's so much more that we could talk about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you know, I think some people might even listen to this and feel like, why are we bouncing around? Like, why are we bouncing around to different topics? It's like, this is how much not only like we have going on, and how much we can really, you know, talk about.
Yeah,
because we've seen many things in life. We've experienced a lot in this country and a lot in this world. Like, we're both 29. You recently celebrated your birthday.
Yep.
That was really dope, by the way. The brunch and everything.
I always make sure I bring everybody together with what I like to do, which is brunching. Yeah,
and I commend you for all that you do, man. And I can only... because I know you're going to continue to do it. So I'm not even going to say I hope you continue to do all of that. So I'm going to say I look forward to seeing what 2023 brings for you, and how much more that you end up doing when it comes to bringing your friends together, bringing people together in general, like when you're traveling. Because I'll be looking because that inspires me, man. You inspire me a lot of times. A lot of times when I look at some of the stuff that you do.
Yeah, get to bring people together. Everybody, you know, there's a lot of trips that end up with great friends, relationships.
I've seen you. I've seen you plan a whole trip and bring like 20 plus people and like together, like literally leaving their hometown or their homes and coming over to a different country or different city, state, whatever, just to show up for you. And it's like, that's really dope, man, and that's really inspiring. So I can't wait to see more of that in 2023.
Definitely.
You know, and
especially it's a big year for all of us. We're all turning 30. 30 is a big year.
Next year is the official, like, aging backwards.
Oh, yeah. yeah.
2023, we're turning 30. 2024, we're going to be 29.
Yeah.
Or 30, part 2. You know, so, next year is going to be a big year for us. You know, 13 years in the country and turning 30 and living life. And I think one of the major things that we still have yet to achieve is probably having kids and stuff like that. But yeah, that can wait.
Yeah, I definitely can wait. Too expensive. Way too expensive.
Man, props to all the parents out there. You're stronger than I am.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You're stronger than we
I
are.
still got to see some part of the word, so I can't have kids yet.
Yeah, not like you can't travel with their kids, because some parents, that's what they say. Oh, you can just bring them. Like, it's not as easy.
Sometimes it's, for the first few years, you got to make sure you're there for your kids. So if you got to make sure you're there for your kid and make sure they're good,
a lot of sacrifices that come with that.
You're going to have some limitation.
Yeah.
You're going to have to slow down on certain things you were doing when you didn't have kids. So,
yeah, man. So once again, man, thank you. And
thank you for the invite.
No problem, man. Anytime. We're definitely going to do this again. Like we said, we have so much more we can talk about. And then maybe next time we'll do the Support Your Friends Part 2.
Yep.
Or maybe by that time we'll think of something else. There's plenty of topics that we can talk about. So yeah, man. Thank you again. So I'll see you next time.
Definitely.
This was another episode of Not Another Business Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Zachary.